Welcome to BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher, along with BNEWS Director Rich Hosford, BNEWS reporters Tad Stefanak and Robert Paris, Peter Brown with the weather, Gretchen Carey with our all-new community calendar, and Anthony Matos with sports. Thank you for joining us. Burlington Public Schools has started the Test and Stay program, but have hit some early snags in rolling it out, school administration told a school committee on Tuesday. Test and Stay is a new program using rapid testing to help keep more students in the building. It allows any asymptomatic student or faculty member identified as a close contact to a person who tested positive for COVID to remain in school if they get a rapid test in the morning and it comes out negative. Students must test negative 5 days in a row before they are out of the program. The state has contracted testing company CIC Health to carry out the tests as students in the program arrive at school. The result usually takes 15 minutes, and if they are negative, the student can head to class. Assistant Superintendent Patrick Larkin said one of the issues is that CIC Health, which is working with all schools in Massachusetts who have enrolled in the Test and Stay program, appears to be overwhelmed. The department has not had reliable testers show up when they should. Larkin did say Burlington will soon have 4 dedicated testers who are currently working through their training to conduct the tests that he hopes will be available soon. Superintendent Conti said they are also discussing expanding Test and Stay to students who are showing symptoms of being ill. He said this would help rule out COVID and perhaps allow students with things like allergies to remain in school, even if they are showing signs of sickness. Members of the committee said that even if the program had some challenges, they were glad the administration was continuing to try to make it work. Here is member Christine Monaco.
After going through so much with the COVID and the kids missing so much, it's really important that we keep kids in school. So if a student has a headache and wants a Tylenol and the nurse feels that they need a COVID test to stay in school, that's great. Do the COVID test, let the kids stay in school. I know it's a lot for the nurses to have to, judge all these situations, but after kids missing so much school, I really appreciate that the nurses are willing to do this and keep our kids in school.
The school administration is working to improve the busing situation that has been a difficulty for some students and their parents this year. BPS Director of Operations Bob Kuna said the biggest change was that since the start of the school year, the district has been low on drivers. They had 14 full-time drivers and 2 spares. However, starting this week, this district had 16 full-time drivers, 2 spares that are exclusively for bus driving, and a spare driver shared between Burlington and Wilmington. Kuna said they also now have 4 people in dispatch, another increase in personnel, which would help with communication with both school officials and with parents. Finally, Superintendent Conti said they have been working to make changes to the bus routes that parents have requested, but they can't accommodate everybody. Here he is on the subject.
We are really trying to make every possible change that we can, but adding stops and wanting the buses to move more quickly is sort of counterintuitive. So at some point we have to make some priorities and move forward. But with the more permanent staffing and with the commitment to keep the office staffed, we do believe communication will be improved and the routes will only get better moving forward.
People Helping People Burlington Food Pantry is planning to move to a temporary location for a handful of years as it searches for a new permanent location large enough to meet its needs. The move came up at Tuesday's Board of Health meeting when Pantry Director Jane McKinich was before the board for a grease trap variance for a sink. The pantry won't need the trap because the sink will be used for washing produce and not preparing meals. McKinich said People Helping People plans to move to 2123 Murray Avenue in the area of the town center because the organization has outgrown the current location next to St. Mark's Church. She said they were close to running out of space before the pandemic, but with the greater need they have seen in the last year, and they have definitely need to find a new location. The timing of the move is not certain, but McKinich said they are hoping it will happen around the end of the year after some renovations are completed. At the meeting, McKinnon said the location will be temporary for 3 to 5 years as people helping people searches for a new permanent location. The town of Burlington and MassDevelopment are kicking off a new collaboration to develop a plan for the redevelopment, future growth, future job growth, and enhancement of Mall Road and Middlesex Turnpike. BNEWS reporter Tad Stefanak has this report.
The town of Burlington has received a grant from MassDevelopment to help launch the next generation of Middlesex Turnpike and the Mall Road corridor. BNEWS spoke with Burlington's Economic Development Director.
So the MassDevelopment Grant it's a site readiness grant, and they work with communities to help plan and facilitate future development. Our office submitted a grant to them, and we received $85,000 to essentially start working to engage the property owners, the community members, to set in motion and chart a course for the future development of the corridor. And it's pretty expansive. If you look at the area, it's along Mall Road and extends to Middlesex Turnpike. And in terms of its scope, it's very big. You know, the area is very big. Yet this is our core commercial district. And what we're seeing is that over time, as a community, we've been a little reactive to some development. And this effort is to give us the information, the market assessment that we need to be proactive about the type of development and help shape that development over time, as well as identify key kind of public amenities that we all want to invest in. At this point in time, we are planning for a community input meeting, and that's on November 2nd at 7 p.m. You know, save that date. You will be seeing how to get online. It's very much online, so more people can access it. We'll have the initial presentation of some of the data collected for the area. We have new census data, we have new business data collected, and that can give you an understanding of where we are today for Burlington. And then it can speak to what we'd like to do is share that with you and then hear from you, any of your input. What are areas of concern? What do you really want to see down these corridors? You know, I've personally heard from residents about better pedestrian connection over Middlesex Turnpike. I've heard more open space. So how do we start building that in with our plan going forward? With this plan is we go down on the street level and we really see what areas could be catalysts for development and lead to that. What projects do we need to prioritize to get, you know, state dollars, town dollars towards that not any one developer will do. So there are kind of bits and pieces that get laid out into a plan, and that plan will help us guide development over the next 10 to 15 years. So I sometimes call this the invisible part of my work. It's nothing you can see immediately, but when you have the document and you have the understanding of how you want developers to act in your community and you have your town aspirations laid out explicitly, that's going to offer much more certainty to the property owners and developers that come to Burlington.
From the Middlesex Turnpike, the Mall Road corridor, and the Office of Economic Development for the town of Burlington, I'm BNews reporter Tad Stefanak.
After a vote of town meeting, there will be a study of Burlington's affordable housing to help better plan for the future and ensure equality in the housing market. The town's legislative body voted to use $30,000 of the town's affordable housing fund to contract the Metropolitan Area Planning Council to perform a housing needs assessment in Burlington. The proposal was put forward by the Burlington Housing Partnership Committee, which has the mission of advocating for affordable housing in town. Committee Secretary Kerry Donahue said the affordable housing needs assessment would help them better identify how best to focus the committee's work, and if the town decides to create one, use funds from a municipal affordable housing trust. She added the assessment would also fill in smaller gaps of knowledge, including whether residents can live in town for years and then retire comfortably, whether children who grow up in town are likely to be able to afford a home in town, and whether the housing is equitable. Town meeting members were supportive of the assessment and voted 75-14-5 to approve using the funds. Brazilian steakhouse Fogo De Cho, I don't know how they get that out of that spelling, but that's apparently what the pronunciation is, has opened its newest location at the Burlington Mall in part of the former Sears building. BNews director Rich Hosford went to their ribbon cutting celebration and has this look.
There's a new place to get a unique meal in Burlington. Recently opened at the Burlington Mall, the new restaurant, pronounced Fogo De Cho, opened its doors on Tuesday following a pre-opening celebration last week. Fogo De Cho is a Brazilian steakhouse or churrascaria and offers an all-you-can-eat selection, including freshly cooked selections of meat delivered right to your table. Those behind the restaurant said it's an experience unlike other options in the area.
So Fogo De Cho is really, we focus on the culinary art of churrasco. So it's about experiencing all you can, but more importantly, when you dine with us, it's about discoveries. We constantly innovate. There's always something new to try. And I'll say this is for all occasions. We've got all-day happy hour. We've got bar bites. Picanha Fresh Crown Picanha Burger for $8. We've got incredible steaks. We serve lamb, and of course we have seafood. And our market table alone is indulgent all by itself with fresh charcuterie, smoked salmon, antipasta, leafy greens, and superfoods. So if you think about the occasion and how you like to dine or dietary needs, at Fogo De Cho, we like to say there's something for everybody. And it's really about you experiencing all that you would like and discovering every time you come in.
They expect an extraordinary experience. We have our Gaúcho chefs here. They cook, they butch, and they serve the meats. This is something that you cannot get anywhere else. And we have these patios, amazing also. This is an extraordinary experience.
It's been a long process to open the restaurant, one made even more complicated by doing so during a pandemic.
Listen, we're really excited. We've been working with Simon Property to be in this market, Burlington, for over 5 years. So we've had our first restaurant in Copley Center for nearly 10 years. So this is our second location in this market, and we're just really humbled to be part of an incredible retail and restaurant mix. Excited to finally be at this point of opening. So thank you for having us.
They also have a strong emphasis on training to ensure everyone's experience is the best it can be.
So for the training, we brought some trainers from all over the country, and we did an immersive training of 10 days with them, and they get ready to serve everyone correctly.
A lot of thought and effort goes into getting the right ingredients for the restaurant.
So really, the ingredients are all based off really market. So local market ingredients for our market table. You know, we source really wholesome animal. We use proteins, and then really we butcher everything in-house. So we take a lot of care with how we handle the product, but more importantly then, the centuries-old tradition of churrasco. So the culinary art of churrasco is really where we shine. That's our core attribute, and it's about continuously cooking, simply seasoning, and letting the product by itself be what you desire. And the wonderful thing is the variety and the ability to customize in the moment per guest is really what makes us easy to use and very approachable.
Finally, they have found the welcome in Burlington warm and are excited to be open.
Incredibly warm. You know, I like to say this community has been very generous. This has been a very challenging time for everybody, and I like to say all the restaurateurs here that have welcomed us, the hoteliers, the retailers, the mall here in Burlington. This is our second location after 10 years of being in the Copley Center, so we don't take it lightly. Very humbled to be here and very grateful for all those who have been very supportive in helping us get to this point to open these doors. So our team members are grateful. They're excited to finally be at this point and be open. So thank you.
From Fogo De Cho in the Burlington Mall, I'm BNEWS Director Rich Hosford.
In related news, the Burlington Mall has The Park, a centrally located space just outside of Fogo De Cho. The park includes 2 multi-use event areas, which are a natural respite for shoppers to relax. The outside green space includes 2 oversized illuminated swings, lawn games, bocce ball court with custom wicket lighting, seating areas with fire tables to warm on a cool night, and a little free library in partnership with the Burlington Public Library. The park's defined sidewalks include areas to gather and opportunities for al fresco dining at new restaurants. This area has been designed to manage rainwater with previous areas and rain gardens, benefiting the environment by filtering groundwater. There is also a new pedestrian connection that will allow for easy and safe access from the mall to the village at the Burlington Mall. Stock up on reading material for the winter and support the Burlington Public Library at the same time. The Friends of the Public Library is holding its annual fall book sale on the weekend of November 5th, 6th, and 7th. The group holds 2 weekend-long book sales each year, generally in April and October. Of course, they had been delayed as a result of the pandemic. This year, the times of the sale are Friday, November 5 from 10:15 to 5:30 p.m., Saturday, November 6 from 10:15 to 4:30, and Sunday, November 7th from 1:15 to 3:30. Thousands of previously read books, audiobooks, DVDs, and music CDs are offered for purchase at a very modest price. Children's paperback books are 2 for $1. Sunday is buy a bag day, where for $5 you get a bag and fill it to the top. Choose from general fiction, history, biography, travel, health, computing, home improvement, cooking, hobbies, and more. There is also an extensive collection of books, puzzles, music, and films for children as well. We go now to BNews weatherman Peter Brown for a look at this week's forecast. We'll also check out our newly redesigned community calendar with Gretchen Carey to see what's happening in Burlington.
Well, hello everyone, this is Peter Brown with Look at Your Weather for the next 7 days. I know it's hard to believe. Here we are heading into the third week of October. I hope you've all been enjoying the really beautiful late summer-like weather that we've been having here in the Burlington area for the past week and a half or so. Temperatures way up in the 70s to almost 80, just incredible out there. Now, as we start out a period on Friday, we're again going to be seeing temperatures above average for this time of the year. Temperatures probably in the upper 60s to maybe around 70. The further away from the coast you are, again, much warmer than it should be at this time of the year, when we should have our average highs only in the mid and lower 60s. As we round out our period getting in towards next Thursday, of course, the temperatures as we start to head into the middle into the latter portions of October, our high temperatures should be cooling way down, actually now getting into the low 60s. And we're actually going to be seeing temperatures rebounding again as we get to the end of the period, maybe again perhaps up near 70 after a brief cool down in the middle of the week. So it looks like that summer-like feel to the weather is going to be sticking around. Of course, the only thing right now that's really telling us that fall is here and that we are heading on through towards the end of the year is how short the days are getting. So as we go ahead, let's take a look at what the Climate Prediction Center is calling for us here in the Burlington area for the next 7 to 10 days in terms of temperatures and precipitation. And this is really incredible. The temperature map looks like the Climate Prediction Center is calling for almost the entire lower 48 to see above average temperatures. And again, that's going to be reflected when we look at the 7 days in a few moments. Again, we might have a little bit of a cool down here in the New England area and the Burlington area proper when we get into the start of the work week, but it looks like our temperatures are going to start to rebound as we head towards the end of the period. Now, we're going ahead, looking at our precipitation chances. This is, again, very good news for all of us here in the east. Looks like most of the lower 48, again, is going to be expecting drier than average conditions, and this is as a pretty massive and strong high pressure center starts to build down from central Canada into most of the lower 48. Now, it's not going to be bringing too much cold weather with it, but it's definitely going to dry us out so that we don't have to worry about any flooding concerns at all. So as we go ahead, let's take a look at those 7 days of weather coming up again here for the Burlington area. And again, starting our period on Friday, it looks like we're going to be seeing some pretty pleasant conditions out there, a little bit cooler than we've been seeing the past 7 days or so. We're going to be seeing an onshore wind coming in and temperatures being held down into the upper 60s, again, warmer than average for this time of the year. As we head into Saturday, our temperatures jump back up into the mid-70s ahead of a pretty strong cold front coming. And if you have to be out and about in the Burlington area Saturday night into early Sunday morning, you want to keep the rain jackets handy as we might have some brief thunderstorms passing through. As we get into Sunday, we're going to see those temperatures fall drastically down into the mid-60s again, and as we go into Monday, we may not see our temperatures climb out of the upper 50s, so a real cool, dry, fall-like day on Monday. However, as you notice, as we head towards the rest of the work week, again, keeping those fairly pleasant skies with sunny skies, maybe a few fair weather clouds, and temperatures rebounding back up into the 60s again. So everyone, get out there, enjoy the beautiful fall weather, and have a great week.
I'm Gretchen Carey, and this is your community calendar. On Saturday, October 23rd at 10 a.m., Sahaley will be having a 5K walk to raise funds to benefit survivors of domestic violence. Everyone is welcome to attend. For more information, go to the Burlington Equity Coalition Facebook page. Also on October 23rd, from 12 to 6 p.m., the town of Burlington is introducing the Pocket Beer Garden and Business Open House. The event is located next to Sweet Ginger at the corner of Cambridge Street and Moran Avenue. For more information, go to burlington.org. On October 23rd and 24th, the Stone Zoo will be having a themed Halloween event called Boo at the Zoo. Everyone is welcome and tickets can be purchased at zoonewengland.org. I'm Gretchen Carey, and that was your Community Calendar.
Sports season is in full swing. For all the latest Red Devils action, we go now to BNews sports reporter Anthony Matos for this week's sports report.
Hey everyone, I'm Anthony Matos, and this is your weekly sports report. Burlington High teams continue all their fall seasons, and we have the scoop on how everyone's doing. Burlington football took on the Wakefield Warriors on October 8th. Let's roll the highlights.
Red Devil football returned to Varsity Field on October 8th to face the Warriors. In the first quarter, the center for Burlington had a high snap for quarterback Ronan Noak. The Red Devils recovered it, but lost 14 yards. On a 3rd and 24, the ball was fumbled and recovered by Ian Dixon of Wakefield. Warriors quarterback Javin Willis handed it off to Leo Yardumian for a Wakefield TD, 7-0 after the extra point. On Burlington's next drive, they tried to convert on 4th and 11. Noak's pass was thrown to Tim Vadney, who ended up short of the line to gain, and the Devils turned the ball over on downs for Wakefield. The Warriors' next possession was a long drive. Eventually, they ended up having to convert on a 3rd and 3. Leo Yardumian ran it in again for his second touchdown, 14-0 after the extra point. On a 2nd and 6 for the Red Devils, Noak handed it off to Adam Eldib for a Burlington TD, 14-6. Extra point was no good. 3rd and 8 for Wakefield. Anthony Elkins made a huge sack for Burlington on defense. The Warriors punted the ball on 4th and 8. And Burlington had a 3-and-out. Willis and his offense had another long drive, but the Warriors finished it with another touchdown on the board by Leo Yardumian, 21-6 after the extra point. Noak was sacked by Ian Dixon on the final drive before half. Halftime, 21-6. Wakefield was back out on the field to start up the third quarter. On a 2nd and 5, Willis ran it in for a Warriors touchdown, 28-6 after the extra point. Noak's pass was intercepted by Christian Delgado on the next Burlington possession. The Warriors marched down the field, only to give it back to Burlington after a failed 4th and 8 conversion. Noak was sacked once again, but this time it was number 73 of Wakefield, Nathan Icks. End of third quarter, 28-6. Wakefield scored one more time with Yardumian in the 4th, 35-6 after the extra point. Final score, 35-6, Warriors.
Burlington drops to 0-5 in the season and will travel to Wilmington for a matchup against the Wildcats on the 15th. Girls swimming had a meet against the Arlington Spy Ponders on October 6th. The girls lost the meet 51-28. They then took on Melrose in the 8th. Burlington lost by 11 points in the 86-75 defeat. They then headed to Wakefield on the 13th, where they lost that matchup as well. The Red Devils are currently 0-7 on the season and will head to Boston Latin on October 18th. Girls and boys soccer faced Lexington on October 8th. Both teams lost their meet 3-0. They then faced the Arlington Spy Ponders on October 11th. The girls lost the meet 3-0 and the boys lost 4-0. They then took on the Belmont Monitorers on October 13th. The girls lost 1-0 while the boys lost 3-0. Both teams will face the Wilmington Wildcats on October 18th. The girls are currently 2-8-2 and the boys are 3-8-1. Girls volleyball took on the Arlington Spy Ponders on the 7th. Burlington lost that game 1-2 in the sets. The Red Devils hosted Belmont on the 12th at BHS and won 3-0 in the sets. They then head to Wilmington October 14th, where they won 3-0 in the sets. The team is currently 9-4 in the season and will host Wayland on October 18th. Red Devil Golf had a meet against the Stoneham Spartans on October 8th. Burlington was very close to the meet, but in the end they lost by a point, 36.5 to 35.5. They then headed to Melrose on October 12th, where they lost 47 to 25. They then had their final game of the season on the 13th against Billerica and Tewksbury. The Red Devils had their final match on the 13th, where they lost to Tewksbury and Billerica. Overall, they finished the season 4-10. Girls field hockey headed to Arlington on October 7th, where they were shut out 8-0. They then faced Belmont on October 12th at Varsity Field, where they had a tough loss of 3-1. They then headed to Wilmington on October 14th, where they lost in a shutout of 2-0. They will host Bedford on October 15th. As of this taping, the game is still to be played. The team is currently 9-1-2. Both cross-country teams took on the Wakefield Warriors on October 12th at Varsity Field. The boys lost by a point in the 27-28 defeat, while the girls lost 29-22. Currently, the girls dropped to 1-3 in the season, and the boys 2-2. Both teams will head to Wilmington on October 21st. BNEWS sports reporter Robert Paris headed to the Athletic Hall of Fame ceremony. Let's check that out.
Hey everyone, I'm BNEWS sports reporter Robert Paris. We're down here at Cafe Escadrille, where the Burlington High School Athletic Hall of Fame is back for 2021. And we're going to chat with a couple of the players, coaches, and we'll see how this night progresses. So let's go. The room was filled with friends, family, and many former coaches. As alumni of BHS gave their speeches after being inducted in this year's Hall of Fame class, what made it more memorable is that it returned, since it was canceled for 2020.
It's just exciting to have everything back. You know, having the year off with COVID and stuff like that has, you know, I think people are coming out now and people are excited to be out, and having an event like this to talk about tradition and past and honoring people who deserve to be honored is a great experience for everybody.
I spoke to a number of the Hall of Famers from that evening.
Well, I'm sure Jane would like to be here, but she's down in Florida, so I'm honored to accept this award on her behalf. I'm a former player of Jane's. I'm class of 79, and I played softball for Coach Antolini. And we have a number of people, and we're thrilled that Jane is getting this long overdue award.
When you're getting recognized for the hard work that you put in, you know, in the moment, it's really, really a big deal. But being able to step back and look at it retrospectively, look back at everybody that's gotten older, it just really warms my heart.
It's a great team, great group of players. Just got better as the season went along, and in the Super 8 made it to the finals. Very worthy inductees to the Hall of Fame.
I enjoyed it. It's a blast from the past. It's been over 50 years since I've been out of high school, and I got to see a lot of great friends, most of whom I grew up with and I'm still friendly with, which is always a very important part of Burlington.
It was just an honor to be even acknowledged and inducted and all that. It was just great to see everyone, all the coaches, all like teammates and everyone.
Since its start in 2000, members who have attended this special event were always looking forward to stories down memory lanes from all the inductees.
To get down and to sit down and get to listen to some of the stories and hear some of the tradition and hear some of the past, it's always the best part of it for me, because again, you know, when you don't live through the entire piece, hearing the stories and seeing what they're comparing our current kids to and things like that, it's always a great time to listen to old stories.
From Cafe Escadrille, I'm Robert Paris for BNews Sports.
For more Red Devil action, go to the BNews Sports section at bcattv.org/sports and check out our Twitter page at BNews Sports. That's all for Weekly Sports Report. I'm Anthony Matos. Back to you guys in the studio.
Another week, another photo to highlight. This week's photo was a pretty amazing nighttime shot. It was sent in by Phyllis Neufeld and shows the September 18 harvest moon over Burlington neighborhood. The moon is so big in this photo, it looks like it may scrape the top of the trees. Thank you for the photo, Phyllis. We'd like to see your photos. They could be of your summer activities, family trip, or just everyday moments. Whatever you think is interesting, want to share. Email your photos to bcat@bcattv.org with the subject line Photo of the Week. Stay tuned for our weekly update from Burlington Public Schools with Superintendent Eric Conte and Assistant Superintendent Patrick Larkin. That's it from the news desk here at BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher along with Rich Hosford, Tad Stefanak, Robert Paris, Peter Brown, Gretchen Carey, and Anthony Matos. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. This is Assistant Superintendent Patrick Larkin with Superintendent Dr. Eric Conte with our weekly update for October 15th. We had 4 positive cases of COVID-19 this week, and once again, with Test and Stay up and running, we were able to keep most of these students in school. We are starting with a new vendor next week, which we hope will allow us to streamline Test and Stay and avoid any delay in students getting to class first thing in the morning. More importantly, we have finally been granted permission to access the state database that allows us to view consent forms in real time. Our goal, again, continues to be keeping as many students in school as possible.
One thing we are noticing is that everyone is quickly frustrated and tired with making adjustments related to the ongoing pandemic. Everyone wants to stop thinking about it or is looking for more certainty. We may not be able to accommodate either for a while. Please realize that this experience is our first pandemic. We are learning and making adjustments as quickly as possible. We all want to stop wearing masks and go back to routines that are more familiar. Although we are experiencing low numbers of cases, we are still careful and committed to implementing science-based mitigation factors. In fact, we believe that our low numbers are due to our mitigation efforts. In addition to our technical mitigation factors, our principals, teachers, and nurses are working incredibly hard. Students identified as close contacts are not done so arbitrarily. Our nurses are following protocols established by the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. As stated, our objective is to keep as many students in school as possible. We are seeing more strep and we are entering flu season. Students who have a fever and a sore throat are going home even if they test negative for COVID. If your child is sick, please keep them home. We realize that having students at home can be disruptive. We do not make this decision lightly. Please try to extend our nurses grace when receiving an unwelcome call. Finally, in addition to illness, please know that we are in a learning recovery mode. And what does this mean? In short, we are experiencing behaviors and anxiety that are atypical for students in certain grades. For instance, there are a significant number of second grade students who are experiencing in-person school for the first time. We are seeing behaviors more typical in kindergarten students from this group. Rest assured, our talented educators are addressing these issues and are working closely with all students. We will get everyone where they need to be, but we are definitely seeing that students need to recover from the last 18 months. Please understand that we are working on it and that this focus is taking a tremendous amount of effort. This situation is not solely a Burlington challenge, and it may take several years of recovery for us to experience a more typical school year.
A reminder about Let's Talk About It. The Burlington Education Foundation is partnering with the district to host a conversation on diversity, equity, and inclusion, facilitated by our Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Ray Porch. This event is scheduled for the evening of October 20th between 7 and 8:30. If you would like to attend, please go to bit.ly/Let's Talk Burlington, and you will be sent a link for the meeting next week. Our LPAC is also having its first meeting of the year this coming week. It will take place at Francis Wyman Elementary School on Monday, October 18th from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. This is a voluntary group of parents, guardians, teachers, administrators, and community members from Burlington who advocate for the education of our English learner students. Again, the LPAC is our English Learner Parent Advisory Council. We hope to build community, discuss ways to help your children learn, and answer questions about our schools and approach to teaching and learning.
I'd like to end with some improving news. Our bus company has been able to hire 2 additional full-time drivers. We currently have 16 full-time drivers covering our 18 buses. We hope that they can find 2 more shortly. Consistent drivers who know their routes and students are critical to solving our transportation challenges. Thank you and have a good weekend.